5-0, but it's just preseason. It don't matter. Historically, if you look at that stat, it probably doesn't, right? But context always matters. And I think this year for the Warriors, the preseason very much mattered. Coming off such a disappointing season, adding so many new pieces, so many young players at pivotal spots in their careers, this absolutely mattered. Not even necessarily being 5-0, but how the games looked, the eye test, the vibe check, right? And last night, the return of Andrew Wiggins. And that was actually the lineup that I was most excited to see, AKA the ceiling lineup. Steph, Wiggins, Kaminga, Draymond, and Trace. And look, this Moses Moody discourse, let's not let it get out of hand here. We've been talking about it now for a couple weeks. We're all rooting for him. He's clearly a scorer who deserves to be in the rotation, right? But right now, currently today, if Andrew Wiggins can regain his form, I think the ceiling of this team is with Wiggins starting at the 2 guard, right? And I said it in today's breakdown. It's crazy. Wiggins looks light, both literally and figuratively out there. He was just floating around. He was decisive. He looked bursty, right? He didn't have a rhythm with his shot, but I was very encouraged the way he was moving out there. And yeah, so I'm curious with that lineup, but here's the thing that jumped out most of all, because we've seen this Lakers team so many times, it feels like, obviously 4 times a year, but the play-ins and playoffs and all that stuff. What was noticeable out of the gate was we've closed the athleticism gap. So many times when we played them, it was like, dang, they're just way bigger and way more athletic, it felt like. And you didn't feel that last night. And I wanted to highlight Kaminga getting the start at the 3. And ironically, he didn't shoot a bunch of threes. But the Lakers have been a team that he struggles against, in particular because Anthony Davis is manning the paint. Very first offensive possession, he drives him left and hits a spin move back. It wasn't even athleticism. It was footwork and it was skill. And he attacked him several times. Then he turned the corner. He hesied right at the right. He changed pace right at the nail, got AD to lift his weight, and then scooped in for another easy basket. And the fact that the jumper is coming along for Kaminga at this rate, it's unlocking all his hezzies and change of pace moves, because guys are like, oh, he is shooting it. Like I have to acknowledge it, and it's going to unlock his whole game offensively. So that was exciting right out of the gate. But discussing this Moody situation, and again, reading into Kerr's comments and even Steph the other day, right? They're like, someone's going to be disappointed. Not everyone's going to be happy. And everybody's nervous that once again, Moody's going to get that treatment. I think it's going to be GP2. And I think that that's the right decision, because let Gary Payton be Weapon X. Break him out of the glass in case of an emergency. And when you're playing De'Aaron Fox or you're playing Ja Morant, there's these certain matchups with these explosive guards where it's like, all right, Gary, it's your night. You're first off the bench or whatever the case may be, and you come play these, because not only will it preserve GP2, because we know he can't do it himself. He has no chill on the court, right? But I also think that Gary is unique in the sense that I don't think it'll mess with him mentally. I think Gary can handle playing situationally much better than pretty much anyone on this roster in the league. He's a unique dude like that. And so I think it's Gary that may be the odd man out of the rotation, and Moses, that's where he should get that opportunity, right? The other thing that was interesting with no Pods and Melton, I guess you might assume it, right? But have you noticed Lindy Waters has played with the second units a bit, right? And you saw that last night again, maybe a little indication that he is on the edge of the depth charts and he could get some rotational minutes. But yeah, I don't think, as much as people are worried about Kerr's decision-making with the rotation, I do think that he's being on. I don't think they know yet. I still don't think they know. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not sure. But again, Moody, I'm not willing to sit here and say, I don't want to get carried away, because what happens is you get so focused, I say we fans, right, on a certain thing, right? We're all rooting for Moody. We're all pulling for him, that you kind of lose sight of the big picture. I'm not willing to sit here today and say, hey, Moody is our starting shooting guard of the future. I'm willing to sit here and say Moody should be a part of our future and a rotational player. I still think Wiggins, again, if he can get right, And I get some of y'all are just, it's done with it, but they have to, it's like, why sell low now? At least tap in and see that and give him that opportunity. The other thing that was interesting, you see the little floaters and runners that Draymond was making? That it's he had a runner late in the game where he came down, and the way that he's coming, the pace that he's getting to the foul line and his posture, if he's making that, that's going to be a problem because you can't read it. He could be looking for the lob. He could skip it to the corner. Some guys, when they get to their floater, they there's like a tell to it, right? Like their posture and the rhythm of their dribble, they're like, oh, they're coming in here to shoot. And if Draymond can just kind of like probe to the nail and then just get that runner off at a consistent rate, like that's going to be tricky. That's going to open some things up, man. I think there's a lot to be excited about. And the Lakers, I got the Lakers telecast on NBA TV. You could tell by the tone of their commentary crew who they might be my favorite in the league because they're such OGs. They've seen it all. They really don't have any favoritism. They just kind of like call it how they see it, right? But the tone as the game went on was like, dang, like, oh, Moody's hitting now. Like, oh, who's this? Lindy Waters? Kaminga's taking a step. Kyle Anderson. Like, you could see them watch as the game unfolded. Like, dang, they look better than us. They're probably better than us, right? And a lot has been made about the Lakers not changing over their roster. And to me, look, D'Lo, you saw him poke the bear. Bro was 2 of 10, and he's trying to shimmy on Steph. And you can tell dudes don't like D'Lo. The Lakers don't like D'Lo. It's just, and so to me, I think if the Lakers, they got to find a way to get D'Lo off this roster or being a main cog on this team. I think that's an issue. JJ Redick, is he wound too tight to coach in today's basketball and this generation of basketball player? Obviously, you get, it's a veteran team with LeBron there, but he seems like he might be a little too uptight for the young guys that are coming into the league moving forward. It'll remain to be seen. But yeah, right now, the Lakers' depth is an issue. I guess we have to acknowledge AD. There's 2 things that I'll say about this. LeBron was in full coast mode, right? He was making a ton of business decisions once he touched the paint. So we didn't get like, here comes LeBron, I'm trying to take over. And then AD did dominate us. I thought Trace held his own when AD was faced up, but I can't remember seeing Anthony Davis use his body better to get the shots he wanted in the paint. AD, to me, like he settles too much in the past. Last night, there was some moves, he looked like Hakeem, as blasphemous as that sounds. Right now, ultimately though, I kind of view AD like James Harden. I really do when it comes to it. And for different reasons maybe, but it's like, yeah, he can dominate you. But when push comes to shove in big moments, you kind of expect him to wilt or not be there physically or mentally, whatever the case may be. But AD, he looks in prime form, right? And LeBron was coasting. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we're better than the Lakers. But on paper, I think, their depth, you got a new coaching situation, and D'Lo is the guy I circle for them. They got to, hey, keep him. Laker Nation, keep him. I like it because we need to be up ahead of y'all in the standings. What else do we got here? I think GP2 is going to be the odd man out situationally. Give Moody his opportunity. But I fully expect Kerr to have this platooning starting lineup. And I know that the pushback on changing the starting lineups is chemistry, right, and finding cohesion. But I also think if you wanted to take a positive spin on doing that, it does keep guys engaged and bought in, because now the perspective is, hey, if it's this matchup, it's my opportunity. They're less likely to take it personal. If the lineup is constantly changing, I don't want to say constantly, but varying to the matchup. Now, if you're Moses Moody and let's say we're playing the Knicks, remember how well he guarded Jalen Brunson? And Kerr's like, you're starting tonight on Brunson, right? So now there's a logical reason rather than making it personal why you're not getting the minutes you think. But ultimately, I think it's not the starting lineup that I'm worried about him tinkering. Eventually, you're going to have to find a closing lineup. And we're going to have to see how that works. But if Kaminga and Draymond are going to shoot the ball like they did in preseason, I think it'll figure itself out pretty quickly. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.